And good evening, it's July 5th, 2019. Dr. Duke Majan with Prime Coral Labs. What we're looking at is an acropora colony that is RTN. I got a phone call about this one. I went and picked it up. The owner said that the tissue is coming off, like typical sloughing off you see with rapid tissue necrosis. Apparently the colony was brown for a long time, lost its color, kind of had a bluish brown color. And apparently this morning started to have tissue loss. So I went over, grabbed the colony, and put it into this bucket here. So I discovered about a year ago that coral rapid tissue necrosis is due to a microscopic parasite. We don't see anything in particular swimming around, so we're just going to scoop up some of the water. We're going to put it here on the microscope, and then we're going to see what it shows. And this is the problem, folks. Philaster. These are Philaster lucinda and Philaster guamens, and they are a microscopic parasite. You can't see them with your eyes. They're invisible. But there are quite literally probably 1 million plus that were in that colony, and now they're in the water column swimming around the dead colony or dying colony. As the colony dies, it loses its tissue. These Philaster that live within its skeleton or gastrovascular cavity, they come out of the gastrovascular cavity or skeleton looking for the next meal, looking for the next coral to infect. And they literally swim around, and they swim very well, mind you. And basically, they're looking for another coral to swim into a polyp and infect. Now, when that colony releases 1 million into the system, you can pretty much rest assured that a lot of those Philasters are going to find a coral polyp to go into, whether it's an LPS, zoanthid, SPS. They eat all coral. And it's just a matter of time with big releases like this going on in a well-established system before all the corals are RTN, just like happened with Sanjay and his system. He must have had billions of these things swimming around in the water infecting the corals prior to the massive RTN event and just after. So the important lesson here is coral RTN, whether it's brown jelly, rapid tissue necrosis, white band syndrome, dark band syndrome, it's all due to these protozoans. This was proven by myself here at Prime Coral Labs 2018, a year ago back in June and July. And I did that by performing a series of experiments that every doctor for the last 200 years has used to prove that a specific microorganism causes a specific disease. And those are the Koch's postular experiments. There's 4 of them. I performed all 4 with twice, basically, with about 20 corals. And the experiments prove that this right here that you're seeing, Philaster, is the cause of coral RTN. It's an infection, it's infectious. You have to stop spreading it by isolating your corals. If you have a coral that's RTNing, get it out of your system immediately and isolate it and treat it. But don't let it release these Philasters. They typically will leave the branch of acropora or coral, whatever's RTNing. They'll leave it usually within 2 to 16 hours after the tissue loss has occurred. And the reason, I believe, is there's no more food, but also there's no oxygen, and they need oxygen. These are aerobic organisms. They have to have oxygen. So in the center of the skeleton of the coral, it very quickly gets depleted of oxygen because there's no water flow, no water movement, so there's no oxygenated water entering those zones. And these guys end up leaving looking for their next meal. Once again, this is a microscopic view. We're actually looking at a tiny column of this water. It's literally the width of a pinhead, and that one pinhead down view has this many Philaster. Probably right in this field of view there's at least 100. So imagine how many pinhead views you can get out of that cup, and imagine how many of those cups fill this water. That's an awful lot of these creatures.